Motherfucker fame, all my niggas lit it. Never to the face, I don't smoke no Philly. Drippin' sauce like I'm chilly. Set that milk came to the floor when it's chilly. I got big booty bras at the telly. And then up from the store who was ready.
I can't fuck with none of y'all niggas, y'all disgust me. When you with your maggot ass friends, don't discuss me. Effing with a standing clip, I hope don't try to rush me. I hear 'em saying such and such a nigga ain't gon' touch me. Big body bench, remember I used to be dusty. Now I want my money, y'all hunters in a rush, please. I was selling weed when they came out with white tee. Now I put a whole half a ticket on my white tee. Whole hood popping, other niggas, they don't like me. Made her eat it up, she told her friend he gon' wipe me. All my niggas thoroughbred, on foot cross streets. Free all of the bros down the road and on Right Street.
Hit that fast thing speeding through the city. Panoramic brain in my dad's digi. Motherfucker fame, all my niggas lit it. Never to the face, I don't smoke no Philly. Drippin' sauce like I'm chilly. Set that milk came to the floor when it's chilly. I got big booty bras at the telly. And then up from the store who was ready. Put some fine bitches in my jellies. Two new glass tinted these spaghettis. Ain't gon' bash you bitches, I ain't petty. Just know we fucking, we ain't going steady. I don't wanna sleep, I need more eddies. I ain't had no kid, but I'm a daddy. Let her shake her ass like it's magic. 20s in my pocket, look like cabbage. Carrots everywhere, I'm a rabbit. I ain't sure they low, what was that name? You was told to go, keep that cannon. I'm a fucking gold, I can't panic. Hit that fast thing speeding through the city. Panoramic brain in my dad's digi. Motherfucker fame, all my niggas lit it. Never to the face, I don't smoke no Philly. Drippin' sauce like I'm chilly. Set that milk came to the floor when it's chilly. I got big booty bras at the telly. And then up from the store who was ready.
Money conversations, check my phone, sway. How about Dolce Gabbana, Chanel,
Today, we're going to talk about the college basketball Monday slate, NBA and NHL winners for tonight, and we got to cash the squad ride. This is Behind the Lines. I mean, Chucky Hepburn had Boopy Miller in jail. It was tough to watch. Maybe the worst game I've ever seen. Boopy Miller missing layups left and right. Couldn't cover a parked car. You got Chucky Hepburn jacking up threes. Didn't have a chance because for some reason, I don't know why, but in hockey, a 2-goal lead is actually like losing. It might be worse than losing. You might as well be losing because a 2-goal lead is never safe.
This feels like a game where Ohio State can make this weirdly close, but it's a game where you look at it and you're like, okay, Purdue should dominate at home, and you turn it on because it's a tied game with 3 minutes left and Ohio State's fighting. I think this is going to be a close game when really on paper it shouldn't be at all.
And then I see this quote from the coach, his starting center, Tomislav. He literally said, deathly ill. The kid's sitting on your fucking bench. What are you talking about? He's deathly ill. He looks fine to me. And if he is that sick, why is he sitting next to the rest of your team? Are the neurons in your brain not functioning? What's going on up there in Illinois? What's going on, chat? Happy BTL Monday, episode 630 piece. As always, hold the fry, joined by your two hosts, Krabs and Jovan, presented by SeatGeek. If you're going to any games this weekend, maybe you're trying to buy your tickets for some MLB opening day coming up in a couple weeks. Get your tickets on SeatGeek. Use promo code Bookit10 and get a 10% discount off all your future purchases. Plug that code into your SeatGeek app. That way you don't got to worry about it. It's already in there. Next thing you know, you're getting discounts left and right. All right, get your tickets over there on SeatGeek. Best ticket purchasing app out there by far, in my opinion. That's what I use. All right. Jovan, happy Monday. Hope you had a good weekend.
Of course. Up and moving,
Sure.
ready to get to it. Looking mighty corp today, Krabs. The button up.
Sure. Locked in, ready to attack the slate today. All right. No funny business, no games, no jokes, just winners. All right. We got to bounce back on the squad rides for February. That's for sure. And we got a long way to go. It starts tonight. We're going to cash the squad rides and start out February strong. Plain and simple. Only option we got. All right. We'll take a peep at the squad ride from Friday and look at the Sharp report as well. Yep, that team's banned, and I'm never betting them again. I'm never even thinking about betting them again. What a joke.
Horrendous program. That's just
what a joke.
Bottom barrel of CBB.
Just a bad ball club. A bad ball club. They don't have the guys. Kent
No
State
guys,
got
no
bodied.
guts.
No guys, no guts, no heart. Yep. Plain and simple. We'll take a peep at the Sharp Report as well and see how we did on Friday. 3-2 from me. Shout out the Mounts. Oh my God, they're red hot. Jovan, not a loser in sight from you. There we go.
Sure. Love that. Shout out the Hoosiers. Should have won that game.
Yeah, they should have. Shout out the Hoosiers. Shout out the Pelicans.
Yeah.
And did the Blue Jackets win that game outright?
They did in OT.
Okay.
Which I did call that game going to OT too, which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
But
pretty good day on the Sharp Report, if I could say so myself. Got to lock in and find better plays for the squad ride. All right. Goodsy, what else we got for today? We can hop into the Sharp Report if you're ready. I guess before we do, real quick, we do have a couple hats left if you guys want to get involved. A couple more of the Bookit scripted hats and a few of the colors left. If you guys want to get involved, now is the time. Okay, now is the time before they sell out. Cop your color. All right, you can get it maybe before the Super Bowl. I cannot confirm or deny, but get those purchases in now. Okay, get involved. Very fresh. We'll drop the link in the chat. W Goots. Okay. Yeah, Dave Martinez burner. That's a heck of a day, man. I'm sorry for you. Sucks to hear about the dog. Sucks to hear about the Mavs. I guess we could talk about the Mavs for a second here before we hop in. I know Mikey did a really good job about it. A really good job about it on TMA earlier today. If you guys missed that, it's on the YouTube if you want to go back and rewatch that as well. But Jovan, I guess I want your thoughts. You're a Dallas guy on maybe the worst trade of all time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I can say much of anything that everybody doesn't know or hasn't been said. I don't understand it from the Mavs perspective, obviously, because not only is it, generational talent, but it's a generational talent that's 25 years old, and you're trading for Anthony Davis. Your core is Kyrie and him with about a 2 to 3 year window, depending on how long those guys can play and how long they can play at an elite level. It just, regardless of what your thoughts are about Luka's conditioning, which they say is the problem, I really doubt that that's the case, or whatever it may be. Like, I don't know how that can be your excuse when you're trading for Anthony day-to-day Davis. Like, the whole thing is centered around his health. So, like, I don't get a lot of it at all. I think there is some ploy, not just within like what the organization had with Luka, some, I don't know, disconnect there, but I think there's something going on with, have you heard of their little Dallas project that they're trying to do over there, Krabs?
Yeah, they're trying to put some casinos down there.
Yeah, I think it's all connected in somehow, some way. Because I know they're losing traction in that, which is why Mark Cuban was kind of stepping away from the Mavs because he was trying to get out some project himself. So I figure that's kind of their ploy to disconnect the fan base, which I'm very familiar with because the Rays owner did the same exact thing, and he's probably going to come out and say, because the Mavs ownership new group doesn't really care about basketball. They care about politics and that new project they're doing. So I have a feeling it's disconnect the fan base so we can either threaten to move, which now seems like actually plausible because a lot less people are going to be excited about the Mavs, or build our thing that we want you to build.
That's crazy, man. That's absolutely crazy if that's the case. Throwing away a top 5 player in the NBA, and that's being pretty generous. You could probably lean more towards, top 3.
Again, they're trying to say
insane.
Conditioning is the issue because he got to like such a high weight. Like he got up to such whatever weight and averaged a 30-point triple-double pretty much and took you to the finals. So I'm not buying that that's any sort of actual reasoning for Nico to do what he did. So I think that's all bullshit. There's something bigger.
You think it's better for the NBA? You think it's better for basketball? That the Lakers are stacked now? And you add Luka to the fold for LeBron, maybe give him a couple more chances here at the end of his career to get another couple championships?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good to a degree because, I mean, who wouldn't be excited or won't be excited to watch Luka and LeBron on the same team? It's just, I don't know. Like for both teams, it makes it difficult. Like even if you're the Lakers, I know you get your guy of the future, but that was kind of like, even though you're putting Luka and LeBron on the same team, it's kind of weird because they're kind of closing their window too. They got to get a big rim protector now, which probably, they will. It's not pretty much a guarantee this happened before the trade deadline, but it's kind of a big
available in DC if they want him.
Yeah, I'm sure they want him. It's just like, I felt like defensively they're already bad before trading away Anthony Davis. Now you got to really do some reconstructing, and this is LeBron's last couple years, let's say. I don't know what they do from there. I know they really couldn't say no because you're getting offered Luka, you're getting offered a 25-year-old new face of the franchise to take over with LeBron. So I'm not really blaming them for that. It just kind of feels like that was, I don't know, it's an odd situation for LeBron to be in now because they have to overhaul the roster again, it feels like, to have a legit shot at the championship before he retires.
Who do you think they end up getting? Any big man around the league who you think might get moved?
I mean, I have absolutely no clue. I mean, they have a bunch that they can pick from at this point. It's really just who's willing to move them and for what price. They can pick from a bunch.
I feel like if they're going all the way in here and they're trading AD, their star big man, for Luka, they're probably not done yet.
Yeah, I guess the biggest name out there, I guess, best fit in theory is probably Vooch, like Chat's saying. I've seen that quite a bit, but I mean, does that really move the needle defensively to a point where, I don't know, it moves you as far as winning a championship? I don't know that it does.
LeBron acting like he had nothing to do with the trade is comedy from Mahoney. I'm sure he was
looped
in.
I don't know that he did, to be honest with you. Like,
I'm sure he was looped in at some point before they made the final call.
I don't know, because
they told him at dinner with his family just after it happened.
Because that's what I'm talking about. Like, if I'm LeBron, right, and I'm trying to win a championship, not to say Luka can't like contribute to a championship, because Luka's Luka, obviously, but why would I kind of set my team back as far as like reconstructing while I'm in year, I don't know, 2 years left, I guess, like, because it feels like you're kind of starting the process over again as far as really bringing that roster together for a finals run, like right now.
Yeah, it's weird. John saying this is a move for life after LeBron. I mean, yeah,
it is,
right?
It is.
Passing the
It's
torch
like,
type.
if you're Rob Pelinka and you're getting a Luka Doncic to be the face of your franchise post LeBron in 2 years, I mean, you can't really say no. It just feels like that significantly makes LeBron's championship window before he's gone a little more difficult in the meantime.
So it looks like we got their first game tomorrow night on the road. Oh, they're still in LA, but they play the Clippers tomorrow night. I'm assuming we're going to see Luka in that game.
No,
I saw the pictures last
probably
night.
not yet.
You don't think so yet?
He's still like hurt. So I mean, you'll probably have a couple games. I would assume at the bare minimum he's going to be back in like 3 weeks before they play the Mavs. But I don't know. I don't know how much sooner before then, if so.
Okay. Well, we'll see if they can keep treading water. I mean, they are 9 games over 500. It's not like they're in first place, but they got a little wiggle room if they end up dropping a couple here while they wait for him to get back. But I mean, Jovan, you're right. Crazy move to make at the end of LeBron's career here, hitting the reset button again. But maybe they were looking at their roster and saying, we're not good enough to win a championship here anyways. You might as well hit the reset button. Because if you're not good enough to win the whole thing, what's the point of even being here?
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. It just felt like a little bit of a slap in the face to LeBron. Not to give Luka something to scoff at it, but you got to do so much work on that roster now. I don't really know where they're going to go at this point while he's still there.
Okay. All right. They could have traded for Bradley Beal.
Could have.
That could have helped.
Yeah.
Right?
I will say I'm excited.
Thriving.
I'm excited to start betting some Lakers overs while this team is still what it is.
Sure. Yeah, probably not a lick of defense played.
Yeah.
They can't cover anybody in the interior. They don't have a big man. All right.
I want to answer this before this goes away too, because I'm seeing a chat dude spamming. Can I explain double bagel process? Because there's been some confusion. The only thing that I apply as pretty much a must take for double bagels, it's an NBA 3-point square that they've obviously missed. They've hit 0 threes the last 2 games. It has to be 1.5 or higher, and it cannot be so juiced to the under to the point where it might get taken off the board. Those are all the qualifications.
Okay. You got any today in your mind?
There is.
Wow.
First time in a while. There's been one that checks all the boxes.
Excited to hear that play. We'll get to it. Why don't we hop in to the Sharp Report, talk about some of our favorite plays for today. Get right into it. Enough talking about Luka. Let's talk about some winners for tonight. Let's talk about the NBA. Let's stay in the NBA, I guess. The Knicks -6.5 tonight. Jovan, very curious to hear your thoughts on this game. And, of course, I'm on the wrong day now because I was looking at tomorrow's matchup with the Clippers and the Lakers. But looks like we've got the Knicks at home laying 6.5 against Houston, who's been on fuego this season, right? One of the up-and-coming squads. They've been very fun to watch. But they've dropped back-to-back games. And, Jovan, I've been doing some more digging into the NBA this weekend and this morning as well, considering how college basketball, how up and down that's been. And the slate today is just not great. So we're going to dabble a little bit more with this loaded NBA slate. Sengun has been out the last couple for the Rockets. I think the last two. And that directly correlates with their last two losses. He might be back tonight. He might not be. Whether he's back, he's going to be banged up, probably not playing full minutes. And guys, by the way, Sengun's a beast. Don't get me wrong. This kid's an absolute stud. I think he's awesome. But we could be getting a banged up version of Sengun or no Sengun at all tonight, which I think could be huge for Cat and Co. up there in New York. You got the Knicks, who are also coming off a loss. Before that, they were playing great. It's one of the better teams in the NBA. Jovan, I thought this spread was kind of fat. And maybe it's because they know Sengun's not going to play. But what I'm seeing on the feeds is that people are leaning towards him actually getting active tonight and getting back involved in the Rockets rotation. And if that's the case, and the Knicks are moving up to -6.5, which is a line I already thought was fat, even if both teams are fully healthy, I'm going to have to be on the Knicks here, -6.5. Big old number at home coming off a loss. And if the Rockets don't have Sengun, they've got no paint presence at all. I think Cat dominates in this one. And if they do have Sengun back, he's going to be banged up, and we want to fade the good news there with him returning.
No Jock Landale respect, Krabs?
No, Jock Landale. He's not moving the needle for me. Big effort guy, but yeah, not moving the needle.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I would think Sengun would play because this is the front end of a back-to-back, and their game tomorrow is at Brooklyn. So I don't know if he's able to go, I would assume he would, and then he'd probably sit tomorrow. So we'll see what happens. But I am with you. It's a pretty fat line in the Garden after that disappointing performance.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting number. And who the heck wants to lay that against the Rockets, even coming off of 2 losses?
I liked it. I mean, it was a pretty similar situation in Memphis too in that last game for the Rockets. Okay. That was I don't know. They were -5, -5.5. That was a pretty, I don't know, popular sharp spot, and it came down to the last possession. The Grizz won but didn't cover. Yeah, I mean, pretty similar scenario to that game. So I would not mind it actually hitting this time.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
Give me the Knicks. And I like that other NBA play better, guys, but we'll circle back to it.
Sure.
W gatekeeping here. Let's go to Jovan Straight Bets and see what he's cooking up for the people today. And by the way, we got a subby coming in from Oh My Goodness about 10 minutes ago as well. Cannot let that get swept. W subby. We appreciate you, Beast.
Full Southland platter crabs.
Bro. A 3-piece?
3-piece.
No way. Okay.
Yeah. I was looking for probably every reason to not play McNeese because it's a weird game, but you don't have many opportunities to play McNeese off a loss. You had one last year, and you're probably only going to get one, maximum 2 this year. I don't think they're losing for the rest of conference play, but we'll see. But now they get to play Incarnate Word, which I mean, I think this line is incredibly fat, which is why I'm not surprised to see it tick back a little bit from when it first opened, but still kind of betting against it, not just because they're off a loss, but Incarnate Word's like a really odd team because they play this like super one of those teams that like nobody knows about that also plays like a really weird defense. They play one of the only zones in college football or in college basketball that is built to stop the 3, which is pretty unique about them. They play like a 3-2 and they trap like super high. So the thing about McNeese though, you know how they lost that game against Nichols, Krabs?
How?
They shot 0 for 12 from 3. Didn't make a single 3 in the game. So the thing is, like, if you're Incarnate Word in this scenario, which they've actually, like, for what it's worth, their defense playing, you know, the Will Wade system like last year, gave them a little bit of trouble for part of those games. But if you want to play a zone against a team that is the best in the conference, obviously by far at the rim, and you want to take away 3s, great, do it. Because that's the only way they're going to beat you pretty soundly. And if you want to adjust from that, I'm going to go out on a limb and say the team that's playing at home and is on this ridiculous home winning streak dating back, 2.5, 3 years. And obviously they have dramatic home road shooting splits, and they're coming off a game where they went on the road and did not hit a single three. I'm going to bet there's some positive regression coming for them in those type of games. So whichever way like UIW wants to spin it, this is a fat line that McNeese obviously I think is going to bounce back in, but I think whatever adjustment they make on defense doesn't really work. So I'm taking McNeese.
Big old number they're laying after a loss.
Really big.
I don't hate you for it.
Yeah, I was honestly, I was kind of planning on doing it after they lost anyway. Because I faded them for a week. I figured that loss we were talking about it was coming last week, whether it was against Corpus Christi where they're teetering for a bit 1-1, or it was against Nichols where they looked horrible for that. I was intending on betting the bounce back spot, but I was pretty shocked to see this line as big as it is.
So am I. I'd lean that way with you. And after that sell job, I might have to tail it myself. Back in the McNeese wagon, coming off an L. Sign me up. We got Godsent coming in, resubbing as well for 21 months. Love to see that. W Godsent. Let's have a week, boys. Go Birds. Godsent is bricked up this week.
Yeah, week. Better be bricked.
Super Bowl week, chat. You guys excited? You guys excited for Pat Mahomes versus the Eagles? Woohoo!
The Super Bowl has zero aura whatsoever.
Dude, that's so much aura.
Who's stoked for
Mahomes?
Could
care less.
Who's stoked for Jalen Hurts finally getting the Super Bowl? Oh,
hey, don't forget Saquon. Don't forget Saquon.
Oh,
Saquon has so much aura.
He does.
I've already moved on to spring training.
Yeah, I don't blame you, guilty.
So did Lamar before he played the Bills.
See any film on Uncle Charlie yet? How's he looking? How's that curveball looking? All right, good. Dubs. Let's flip it back to my plays. I got a CBB play for you guys, and then we'll go back to the NBA. Weber State tonight. Guys, I'm not happy about it, but it's a line play. It has to be done. They're playing Northern Arizona, a team that's excelled this season so far, an overperformer, if you will, a team that's already also beaten Weber State this season when they played only a couple weeks ago, but they only beat them by 3. If you look at how these teams have been playing this season, you'd think they beat them by 30. Weber State has been struggling of late. They've lost 4 of their last 5. They've only covered and won 1 game in their last 5 as well. And they've got a tough matchup tonight, and they're 5-14-1 against the spread so far this season, one of the worst numbers in college basketball. Okay, but they're favorites at home tonight against a team they've already lost to in Northern Arizona. We're fading Northern Arizona, who's overexceeded all expectations so far this season already. They've won 3 of their last 5 games. And we're back in Weber State here at home. It's not for the faint of hearts. All right, their best player, hilarious name. His name is Blaze Threat, Threatt. He's going to be a threat out there on the court tonight. This kid's a stud, senior. He's been around for a couple of years. Blaze Threat is going to take us to the promised land tonight for Weber State and hand North Arizona their first loss in this matchup in a while.
Sure. Why not? I was glad to see this on your card. I wanted to bet it too. Yep. So I'm glad we're there.
Has to be done. We got Dyson coming in, resubbing as well. I need thoughts on Hawks Pistons over. Dyson, I got a feeling we're going to spend plenty of time on this NBA slate. I'm sure we'll talk about all these games. Okay. We got Flatwoods fella coming in as well, resubbing. Let's go, Flatwoods. Attaboy. Love to see you getting involved today on a Monday. Hype train moving and grooving, Pega. Let's go.
Let's go.
Dubs. All right. Jovan, you get another straight bet for the peeps?
I do. Another one that I just could not help myself because the spot is almost as glaringly obvious as taking like McNeese in a bounce back spot. Did you see what Nicholls State did last week, Krabs? Not just beating McNeese, which is, I don't know, out of anything you could achieve in the Southland where your name is not McNeese, that's probably tip of the iceberg, but they also beat UT Rio Grande on the road. And they're a pretty good team. They're starting to fall apart a little bit. I know they just got a big win that I'll probably mention a little bit, but they got a big win, but they've been dealing without their star playing on the team. He got dismissed from the team a couple weeks ago, and they've been kind of reeling since then, but they went on the road and they got a win against them, which was big. And that was before they just went toe-to-toe with Texas A&M Corpus Christi the game before. Covered the game barely, but didn't win. So this has been a ridiculous stretch for Nicholls. 3-0 ATS against those teams is nothing to scoff about. And you remember when we were talking about the Kentucky-Arkansas game? Sorry to bring this up, Goots, in the spaces, but The one thing I didn't even care about, like the Calipari getting this lick back angle in that game necessarily, or the fact that it was just the overwhelmingly contrarian play, I guess. But the thing that really bugged me about Kentucky going into that game is they went through a gauntlet of themselves before that massive game where they're playing a bunch of the top teams in the SEC, and Arkansas was literally the exact opposite. They were playing softballs. They were losing those games, but they weren't going through the gauntlet of, the schedule prior to that game. This feels like the same spot where not only did Nichols go through, I don't know, the gauntlet of the Southland, including McNeese, where they won the game outright, probably the only team that's going to beat McNeese in the Southland this year. But they've played really good games since then. Now they're a bigger favorite at home against this Houston Christian team that just doesn't give up, and they're one of the more disorganized teams in the Southland, which works, just like I've talked about it with Sela when Houston Christian beat them outright. There's one of those teams that, like, they play good against like the more structured teams, more structured defenses, but the teams that just rim run, get to the foul line, those are kind of the teams they struggle against. So I think Houston Christian has a little more magic left in them in this game. They're plus 7.5 on the road. I think they're very liable to win outright, and it's just such a classic letdown spot that I can't do anything but bet.
Super down to fade Nichols in this spot, right? Coming off that big time outright win against McNeese. Before that, like you said, an outright win on the roads against UTRGV. Two impressive dubs they're coming off of. Have to fade them in the spot. And Houston Christian, although they're coming off a loss, they've been playing some pretty good ball the last couple of weeks as well. So
really good ball.
I'm in.
That team is
I'm in.
So odd. They were like, I mean, not that they're playing softball teams in non-conference, but they weren't good in non-conference. They just have some type of magic that they had since the beginning of the Southland season. It's really odd, but they've been them. You need a Julian Mackey legacy game, which he's good.
Yes.
If you're going to watch that game tonight, you will see him a bunch.
All right. Houston Christian grabbing the points. We might need them. We might need them in that spot, but hopefully not. Okay. I got one more straight bet for the peeps. This might be my favorite one of the night, and this might surprise some people. It's actually the Phoenix Suns, a team that I don't care for. I got some players on that team. Actually, just one I really don't care for, Bradley Beal. First-time chatter coming in. We got FS Sports coming in, or F Sports coming in, dropping a first-time chat. What's up, East? Good to see you. Appreciate you joining. We got Baumgartner Jackson coming in, resubbing with Prime as well for 30 months. Love to see that. W's. Jovan, stick with me on this one because it should not be a hard sell. You got the Suns who have been struggling. You're starting to hear rumors. Are they trading KD? Are they going to beg Bradley Beal to waive his no-trade clause? Who gives a hoot? He stinks anyways. All this drama going on with the Suns team who just, once again, they're underperforming so far this season. Although Devin Booker's coming off a good game. It's been about it. Well, tonight, they got a matchup with Portland. Jovan, they just played this team in Portland only 2 nights ago, and they got blown out. 127-108 in that game. You want to know what the spread was in that one? You want to take a guess?
Spread, Krabs.
It's pretty damn close to what it's at right now. Suns minus 4.5. Now we're seeing the Suns, after getting the shit kicked out of them in the same exact matchup, in the same exact location, against the same exact team that stinks, by the way, but they've been on fire of late. And they've won 4 of their last 5, and Portland's playing the best ball they have all season. Well, Jovan, now we're seeing the Suns laying an even fatter number, up to minus 5 on the spread on the road, after we just saw them lose to the same exact team. Why are they laying 5 on the roads, especially with how mid they've been playing? I don't know, but I'm willing to risk a unit to find out. And I'll back KD. I'll back Tyus Jones, who we'll talk about in a little bit. And unfortunately, I will back Bradley Beal tonight to put up some points and make some sort of positive impact on this game and help the Suns cover by 5.
Sure. Rare time you're getting Krabs backing Bradley Beal.
Yeah, I don't know if that's ever happened.
Trade deadline.
To be honest with you. It's been a minute. Been an absolute minute. We got Hey on Matt coming in resubbing. Had to drop the Prime resub for the GOATs. Let's go, Hey on Matt. Attaboy. W's. Are the Wizards going to win another game this season? I hope not. I hope they don't, because I want to get Cooper Flag. But shout out the Wizards for getting a big-time win the other night.
Yeah.
Huge.
I think that was one of the biggest spreads in the NBA the last handful of years. I think there was one bigger like last year, but they're plus 17.5 or something.
Jesus. Yeah, Kyle Kuzma making crazy shots behind the backboard. I don't know if you saw that one, but He was running out of bounds and just jacked it up. The ball was in the air for an hour. Next thing you know, it swishes. Unbelievable. Sometimes that's what it takes to end a losing streak, 16 games for the Whiz Kids. Some magic, right? And who knows? Maybe the Whiz Kids will get hot here. Watch out. It might be too late. They might already be hot. They're hitting the road tonight, Jovan. They're only getting a couple points.
Sure.
We'll talk about that matchup here in a little bit too. For now, though, I want to hear about your last straight bet.
Northwestern State, probably. I mean, I'm obviously a little more tapped, so I can look at this and see that the line is ridiculous. But I would say it's one of the most ridiculous lines that you'd see on the board today with them favored at home. It's absolutely unbelievable. And they've been awful in pretty much every form and fashion this year. And they're coming off of getting punked by 20 or 22 on the road against East Texas A&M, which I had a hard time saying that. I wanted to call them Commerce, but new name, and they have been absolutely horrible to watch in every form or fashion this season. So seeing this against, like we talked about, a Rio Grande team that they're struggling a little bit because they're playing without their star, but they just picked up probably the best win in the conference, not named Nichols over McNeese. They beat Texas A&M Corpus Christi decently soundly in their last game, but Rio Grande's this big analytics team. I've talked about it a couple times. So they live and die by the three. They're a relatively small team, but the thing about Northwestern State, they're one of those also very unorganized team that runs a lot in transition, but they also, like, unlike a lot of the other teams, have somewhat of a big presence. So they have a little bit of a fallback as far as their offense goes because they're going to have the size advantage for the most part against Rio Grande in the paint. But the one thing you don't want to do with any of these teams that'll make it very weird with you, just like in Northwestern State, he runs fast, shoots a lot of threes, just plays with really high tempo. You don't want to get into a game of variance. Probably the number one team that gets into variance games in the entire Southland because of the amount of threes they both shoot and tried not to give up is UT Rio Grande. So, like, they're on the road now where their splits are pretty dramatic. It's insane seeing the spread with Northwestern State favored in pretty much any game. God forbid, one of the top half teams of the conference. I think this is exactly why. It's a really strange matchup for them. So I'm taking Northwestern State.
Oh, man. Not a play for the faint of heart.
No.
Kind of reminds
disgusting.
me a little bit of my Weber State play. Nasty, but has to be done. Right? Has to be done. We got a first-time chatter coming in. To Cantho. We'll pick cover against UVA. I would probably lean that way, but, UVA coming off of a back-breaking loss against my Hokies over the weekend at home. You won't see me fading UVA after an embarrassing loss like that. So although I would lean Pitt, laying that big old number, you will not see me fading UVA.
I'm taking UVA.
Okay. Jovan's on UVA. I mean, after that loss, you got to go back to the drawing board, hit the reset button, right? Can't be losing.
I mean, yeah, come on. Somewhat. It's just also, I mean, it's more of a Pitt thing, I guess, than a UVA thing. I know Pitt lost the game at Wake over the weekend, but covered at the very least. If people got that weird number with that buzzer beater shot, but I don't really fault them for losing on the road at Wake. The game Wake had to have.
Yeah, great game by Wake. Great game by Hildreth. Flu game over the weekend. Incredible game.
Yeah.
All right. We could take a peep at the rest of these CBB games, Jovan, but I think maybe now we go to the NBA. Maybe talk about the Whiz Kids.
Squares first.
Prize Pick Squares, of course. Goodsy, keep me in line. Let's go to the Prize Pick Squares and talk about some winners we like over there on Prize Picks. I got two squares that I'm liking for tonight, both in the NBA. This first one, stick with me. We got Naz Reid, who's playing with 9 fingers tonight. I saw he's got, the fingers taped after leaving the game in that last one due to an injury. I think he's going to play tonight. He was at shoot-arounds. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong if he got ruled out, but I was seeing he was there earlier today at shoot-around with the taped fingers. He's going to give it a go. Thought about taking his points. Extremely Reddit out charts, very high in a game that I think the T-Wolves end up winning. But instead, if the guy's, got a banged up hands, I'm going to just go with the rebounds, and maybe he'll just end up being a beast in the paint for this one. We don't got to worry about his shot or how that looks with 9 fingers. I said, let's just go with Naz Reid's rebounds, which I thought were very high as well. Extremely Reddit out chart too. And we'll back him against the Kings after that trade. That spread keeps moving up for Minnesota. They're up to -5 some places now, Jovan. If they want to cover and win that game, Naz Reid's probably going to get involved on the boards. And I'll take him with a weirdly high square today, Naz Reid, who's got a couple other weird squares too. But with the banged up hands, I'm just going to isolate the rebounds and take more than 6.
It's the most Krabs bet of all time. Hurt hand, you're grabbing boards.
Yep. Hurt hand, grabbing boards. I don't want to worry about the shot, right? I'm going back to my old days playing basketball, right? If I got a banged up hand, I'm probably not jacking as many threes as I want, but maybe I'm just going to be a grinder down on the block and try to be a team guy. Let's see if Nas gets involved tonight. I'm thinking he grabs 6+ boards. Okay.
Sure.
And then Tyus Jones. I like this square better. Tyus Jones, more than 5 assists. Pretty Reddit out chart as well, but taking the Suns tonight. And I'm going to back Tyus Jones, who, when he's at his best, he's diming like he's Chris Paul. We know he has it in him. When he was on the Wizards, honestly, he was an absolute beast, a maestro with the rock, assisting left and right. Tonight, I like the Suns in this game. After an embarrassing loss, I think they show up, which helps us as well because, betting assists or taking assist squares is great and all, but the guy still has to make the damn shot who he's passing it to. And I think the Suns tonight, laying 5 on the road to a team they just lost to, we're in a good spot for the Suns to make some buckets. And I'll take Tyus Jones with a Reddit out chart and an assist square that's juiced to the over on the books. More than 5 assists. I think he's going to be diamond, leading this team offensively, in addition to KD, who I think is in for a big night in his points as well.
Wow. Rare KD, and you might need Bradley Beal for some of this.
Yeah, you won't get me there. Backing. You won't get me there, but I'm close. I'm close. Okay. Couple subbies coming in. Dilly Daggers coming in, resubbing. Nats ML. #gratitude. Let's go, Dilly Daggers. Sure. We're getting close to opening day, folks. Only a couple weeks. We got Guwop Dad, first-time chatter coming in. Krabs, what's good, big man? I'll never forget the Texas Tech ML versus Iowa State 2 years ago. You made me 10K. Jesus. Wow. Love from Australia. Okay, Guwop Dad, sure. Good to see you back in here. W vibes. Adam's got Wales as a crabby square of the day today. Lauri Markkanen, more than 19 points against the Pacers. He's cleared more than 21 in his last 5 head-to-heads. Okay. We're going to take a peep at Lauri. Jovan, before we do, though, thoughts on Nas and thoughts on Tyus Jones?
There's some crabby squares, I'll tell you that much. I definitely like Tyus. Nas, if he plays, it's a good look, too. So I can get with both of those squares. I don't know if I'd take Nas Curry out of it, but
okay, I
like both angles.
Yep. I thought about going PR for Nas, but I just couldn't get there, man. I don't want to watch that guy bricking shots when he's got one hand.
Fair.
And after I said that, he just set the record for most threes in a row in NBA history.
Yeah, he just might.
Unbelievable. Adam, I'm looking at that square. Sign me up. I'll tail that puppy. I don't love that he's, eclipsed that number last 5 head-to-head. Obviously, my contrarian brain doesn't love that, but extremely Reddit out charts. Wouldn't be shocked if they end up coming through and covering this game against the Pacers either. Why not back Lauri to drop a 20 piece? It's been a while. I'm in. Jovan, very excited to hear your squares you're crafting up today, my man. Let's hear it. Let's get to it.
Sure. Paolo Banchero. Einstein Bros double bagel has to be taken. I mean, I think
there it is.
Yeah, he's going to have a big game today. I think a lot of people are on his points today, which I 100% agree with. A lot of smart people. And I'm with that, but I have to take the threes, not just because it's a double bagel system, but it checks every single box as far as like matchups go as well. I know he's going to have his fair share of cooking in the mid-range, but the one thing the Warriors have done a little bit of lately is kind of not let teams switch. So I think there's going to be a lot of room over the top for him to cook. So, I mean, I think just with his points come the threes as well. I think he's going to have to shoot from deep to kind of open up everything on the inside. So, obviously, double bagel getting involved. But, again, I only try to do it when it checks out all the boxes. But he had a horrendous game. Probably one of the worst games of his professional career last game, where not only did he not hit a 3, but he shot like 4 of 20 from the field. So, it was really, really bad. What a better spot to back him than now. So I'm in on that. And then Jeremy Grant, who, just like you mentioned, this is the game that just happened. So they're playing the rematch of this game where Jeremy Grant did go over this number. Then he went over this number pretty much every single time they've played this season, which has been a handful. The Suns are a little bit different of a team, though. Now they have Nick Richards in the paint, and the way they're playing, a lot of guys, Jeremy Grant included, they're letting him just go down the court and hunt mismatches the entire time. So, like, he went down the court a handful of times in that last game and was just backing down Tyus Jones in the post. And they did nothing about it. They weren't sending help, weren't doing anything. It seemed very deliberate because he wasn't the only person that was doing that. Denny Avdia did that as well, even like when they were getting switches on DeAndre Ayton. And it's been the story not just against the Blazers, but with all these other teams. So, like, he's going to see KD for a good part of his matchup. But the way that he's been playing recently, not just against the Suns, but when he has gone against the Suns, he's been hunting those mismatches and pretty much just being super aggressive. So I think DeAndre Ayton, I got involved with that little revenge game. I think a lot of people did, last game, but didn't come without Jeremy Grant doing his fair share before, to the point where it made you sweat a little bit for about the first quarter, wondering who else was going to be involved. And what do you know? They both ate. This time I think it's going to be more Jeremy Grant again. So I'm tapping in.
Everybody in chat scared out of their minds. Seems like they've been hurt by Jeremy Grant in the past, but I don't know how you don't back him after that sell job.
Yeah.
Has he been hurting bettors this season? He has not had a great season after a couple
No,
career years.
It does seem like when he's a pretty popular play, he shoots tour dates or just doesn't come through. It's like I'm kind of glad he's maybe not in that spot today because I haven't seen him one time. So I'm hoping I'm catching him in not one of those spots at the very least.
Okay. All right. Well, I just locked in the Sharp Report 4-man, and I will drop the link to that in chat as well if you guys want to get involved. Some good-looking squares. NBA only tonight. All right. Archie Gamble's coming in resubbing as well. W Archie for 25 months. Cannot let that get swept under the rug.
Let's go, Archie.
Jovan, while I drop the link to this 4-man, do you like the Magic tonight?
I don't hate him. It's hard to really back Paulo without liking the Magic in some form or fashion. It's like I wouldn't be against it.
Okay. Let's talk about the NBA. Let's talk about the association today. Low-key a loaded slate. And we could start out with the best team in the NBA, the Wizards, who are doing their job this season better than any other. They're tanking at an incredible rate, Jovan. Sure, they're coming off a win, but does lightning strike twice? Probably not. And we're seeing the spread move towards Charlotte, who I believe is without LaMelo Ball in this game too.
Yeah.
And they're -5.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you could argue it's a little fat, I guess. The Wizards coming off of their first win since the Vietnamese War.
I would certainly argue that. Yeah, seeing the spread move towards Charlotte without their star player, and they have not sniffed a win in over a week as well. I'd say I'd probably lean Charlotte here in this spot, but maybe the Wizards found something. They worked in that last game, and maybe they're riding that momentum onto the roads. I'd be shocked if they do, but I would certainly lean Charlotte here, laying 4.5.
Yeah, I'll lean that way. It's still, I guess, still in the back of your mind, like, are the Wizards going to win 2 in a row? Probably not. So, I mean, I guess in that sense, it still seems kind of easy. And the fact that you're probably going to see, you're probably going to see Mark Williams in every single slip today. Whenever that happens, he somehow, some way doesn't come through, gets played off the floor. Some excuse always happens. So we'll see. I don't know how it can happen against the Wizards, but maybe something weird happens.
Okay. You like anything in Atlanta versus Detroit tonight?
Not particularly. Where's your head at? First glance.
Mine, the Hawks on the road here.
Really?
They have not won a game in forever, although they almost did against the Pacers in that last one. They at least covered. And you got Detroit coming in off of back-to-back wins in their last 2 games. Both were at home. They're still home. I wouldn't mind taking a stab at the Hawks here on the roads. Do you think this line is correct? Like, I mean, Atlanta probably should be a short dog here on the roads. I know they're the better squad on paper, but with the way they've been playing recently, they should be a dog on the roads.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's relatively simple line. I know I'm trying to look to see who was playing that game. Yeah, it was like a pretty much fully healthy game for the Hawks. They got beat by the Pistons when the Pistons were 4-point dogs in Atlanta not too long ago. I mean, I think it's right. They're 4.5 in this one on their side.
Okay. Wouldn't mind some points in that game either. Total's moving up in that game. Are you going to tail me on the Knicks, or you prefer the Suns late night?
I don't know. You tell me.
I like the Suns better, But if Sengun ends up playing, and this is the spreads, I'd say that ends up kind of evening the gap there and making them both, pretty good looking plays. If Sengun doesn't play, it makes the spread make a little bit more sense, and it's just more like a normal 1-unit play for me. But we'll see if he ends up going out there, giving it a go tonight. We'll see.
Okay, understandable.
Spurs and Grizzlies. Any thoughts on the Spurs? Or you don't want to buy good news here with them involved in the trade?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much good news you're technically buying after, because like the guys aren't there. I mean, they're more shorthanded than anything today. Not that it's any real significant pieces. It's just Trey Jones and Zach Collins, I'm pretty sure. But I don't know. I kind of leave the Spurs in this one, to be honest with you. I was very, very close to taking them, and it would have worked out because, I mean, they covered the spread, but taking them against the Heat over the weekend, and they lost in that ridiculous Bam buzzer beater. Shout out him. But now they're coming back against a team that, wants to push the tempo and is also coming off of a fantastic game against the Bucks last night where they won outright, dropped 130 points, and that was with a very confusing cast of players. I think it might be the Spurs tonight.
It might just be the Spurs down to 4.5.
Insane comment from Budman sub. Shout out Budman for subbing, but insane comment.
W subby.
Any comments on that one, Krabs?
Nice to finally meet you at that Bonnie Blue meetup this weekend. Sure. Budman, don't get me in trouble out there, my man. Gosh. Yeah, no comment on that one. Any good player props to ladder today for Flatwoods fella? I'm sure we can get to it. Maybe that's a good question for after we get through the NBA boards. As of right now, probably not.
Nah,
see if we can find any
couple.
goats.
There's got to be a couple.
In the games we've talked about so far, I don't know if there are.
Well, I mean, I know I saw SBR on Paolo points. I'm on anything Paolo today, so I'm going to join him on that. So, I mean, take him up, whether it's threes and points. I'll probably do a little sprinkle of both, but definitely there.
Anything in Milwaukee, OKC? OKC laying a fat number against the Bucks, who've been struggling of late.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do it. I assume there's some injury stuff dropping in this one, with them being 11.5 point dogs. I mean, if it's not incredible line for the Thunder, even though the Bucks are coming off of getting plunked by the Grizz at home last night, and they're on a back-to-back.
I'm only seeing Bobby Portis game time.
Yeah, I know there's nothing official now, but I'd be surprised if everybody's playing for the Bucks. Looking at that line, something's probably going to drop.
And like Jake's saying in the chat, they're playing on a back-to-back. Maybe we hear one of those two stars gets a rest day today. Looking at that spreads. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I agree.
Especially
that's a ridiculous number.
Being that it went up from 8.
Yeah. Well, hey, if that ends up being the number and all the guys are going, which is probably not going to happen, but if that's the case, it's got to be OKC, right?
Yeah, I mean, probably. I highly doubt that everybody's playing.
Okay. All right. Would love to hear your thoughts on Sacramento and Minnesota, Jovan.
Yeah, it's an odd one. I guess we didn't talk about that trade either, because we're talking all about Luka. That trade, I think, is getting overshadowed for the Kings. The fact that we're all talking about the Luka trade and how little sense that made for the Mavs. The Kings really said Levine and DeRozan. DeRozan, I guess, was doing everything in his power to run from Levine because it didn't work in Chicago. And they just said, you know what? Let's bring him to Sacramento and try it again. Let's see if it works. I think that was not quite as dumb as trading Luka, but they just ate all of the money from the Bulls and just decided to run with it, which is, pretty smart to do as a contending team. So that was really incredible for me to see. But I wouldn't be lying to you. I said if this would probably be the buy trade bad news system with them out there without Fox, and Malik Monk's going to be their main facilitator, and they haven't gotten Levine yet, so they're still in a weird spot, not a super short-handed spot because they still have the majority of their offense, and Malik Monk's been pretty key playmaker even with Fox in the lineup. But I wouldn't mind them against Minnesota, who I would assume is going to have Ant back in the fold today.
Yeah, I kind of lean Minnesota as well, laying 5
Yeah.
against the Kings and fading them before their new squad gets in town. Good question here from chat. Some Heat fans starting to talk. Where do you think Jimmy's going to go, if you had to guess?
I don't know, dude. It all comes up to where he wants to sign an extension. That's the problem. Because, I mean, they've been trying to send him 50 different places, and then he says, yeah, I'm not re-signing there. I'm not re-signing there. Like, I would assume if the Suns was going to happen at some point, it probably would have happened already. It's like I'm concerned about that. Then all the Warriors talks came up, and then it dropped last night. He doesn't want to resign there. He's acting like he's LeBron, dude. Just send him somewhere and deal with it, bro. Like, I don't know. Even if you got to get a shit return for him at this point, I mean, just send him off somewhere.
You'd rather get a shit return than him.
I'd rather get a shit return than let this linger past the trade deadline and into next year.
Yep. Yeah, Jay Betts saying so out on the Jimmy drama. So am I. Sucks to see. And obviously it sucks a little bit more for you, Jovan, obviously as a Heat fan. But,
yeah.
Do you think there's any chance that he ends up hitting the reset button and maybe they end up re-signing him and coming back strong next season after a couple weeks off here?
I don't think so. And as much as he's, I don't know, being difficult and being a diva, I think it's equally just as much on the Heat management. Because, I mean, they've been it's the classic Heat to be in on every single free agent, every single big player. It was Dame. It was like Giannis rumors. It was now De'Aaron Fox. I mean, date back to pretty much every big free agent the Heat have been in on. And, like, they've been trying to build the team around Jimmy Butler while he's been there, and they haven't done it. It's like, if I were him, I'd be pissed too. Would I be? Am I excusing his behavior? Absolutely not. But it's a two-way street there. So, like, I don't think there's any repairing that unless they were to go out and do something massive. But at this point, I mean, send him somewhere, dude. Like, send him to Dallas at this point, which I don't think Dallas would want to do because I think they're intentionally not building something. But send him to Dallas. Get PJ Washington at this point. I would take a bag of chips at this point. Just get him off the team because it's stunting the growth of everybody else.
Jovan, if you had to guess, if you had to pick one team where he ends up, where are you picking?
If I had to pick one team where he would end up.
In your gut, what uniform are you seeing Jimmy rocking next?
I don't even know, dude.
Yeah, now. I think a report just came out that the Warriors are desperately looking for a superstar to pair with Steph. I know he already said he wouldn't sign an extension there.
Yeah.
I know. But if he's saying no to something, to anything, if they're going to trade him, they need to sway him on something. And I could see it being the Warriors.
Dude's predictions are up. He's got the Warriors. Okay.
Also, the Spurs are plus 400 to make the playoffs. I'll be taking that.
Wow. Okay, dudes, get involved.
Could be so free.
I'm a big De'Aaron Fox fan. I don't know if you know that, but like he's my favorite player in the league. So bandwagoning the Spurs. Go Spurs.
Fair. I think gun to my head, I'd still say the Mavs against my better judgment.
Wow.
Only because I feel like they have to make another move, especially like because I don't think they're trying to do something in the long term, but the championship window is for the next 2 to 3 years until, I don't know, Kyrie retires, whether that's because of his age or just because he goes off the deep end again and doesn't want to play, or Anthony Davis loses his knees. I mean, could be perfect. I'm just trying to think of like what returns Pat Riley would want. And I feel like they have the pieces that he would want that are not incredibly young, but also kind of fit into the Heat culture, which he's obsessed about fortifying. So I don't know, man.
My prediction, this ends up blowing over in a couple weeks. He re-signs with the Heat, finishes his career there, and we all don't remember all this bullshit in the coming years. That's my guess. I think it's getting close to the point where it's too far gone.
I think we've been there for a while, to be honest with you, Krabs.
Okay. We'll see.
Especially when Pat Riley love Pat Riley, but he's got an ego when it comes to dealing with some guys. You forget this is the guy who let Dwayne Wade wear another uniform, which I still can't get over.
Well, maybe the old man's learned from some of his former mistakes. Maybe he'll come back around, but it'll probably be a plus chicken take, right?
Very plus
at
chicken.
this point. Okay. All right. Well, Jovan, I feel bad for you, man. It sucks seeing how it's playing out with Jimmy, glue guy and effort guy who's just been so good for that city and that team in recent years. But look, the story's not over yet. We'll see how it ends up finishing. Okay. A couple other NBA looks here. Indiana, Utah. You think the Jazz maybe cover this game? I've just been itching to back the Jazz at home, Jovan, in some sort of spot because they've been so bad at home. But they did just get one in their last game, so maybe we missed out.
Yeah, might have messed out. That was like the first time I've seen the Jazz at home in somewhat of a sharp spot, which I've actively tried to avoid, and they actually came through. So will I be betting them when they're in the spot 2 games in a row? I'm absolutely good.
Yeah, I think we missed our window there. Damn. Fat Girls is saying, Krabs, what would you do if Commanders got Myles Garrett twerking vid? Sure.
Dude, I need him in Tampa.
Sure.
If
that's what you want, man, sure. I don't know who the hell would want to see that, but I would certainly like to see Myles Garrett in DC. So if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. Okay, but also side note, he's probably not coming to DC. All right, Jovan. Yeah, I think we missed our window on the Jazz, unfortunately. Although I still would lean that way at home, getting 7.5 against the Pacers, but I'm not going to play it. Also, that total's up to 240. Could be some points in that one. I
don't even think that total is high enough.
Oh, shit. You think it should be higher?
Yeah, I mean, it's Pacers Jazz. I was probably expecting a little closer to like the super high totals we see. They're like 245 plus.
Yeah. I mean, the Jazz finally held a team under 100 points for the first time in a minute.
Yeah, the Jazz have been playing some slower teams lately. So, I mean, it's kind of been bogging down their totals in their games. When they play a team that runs the hell out of it, I mean, you're seeing points.
I still kind of like that over, but
still do too. It does seem a little easy in my eyes.
Need MLB, can't bet on the National Blowout Association. Yeah, how excited are you guys for the MLB season to start up here in a couple weeks? Who's excited to see Nathaniel Lau in a Reds and navy blue turtleneck this upcoming season?
That's crazy.
I am.
You excited to see?
He got rated the 9th best first baseman in MLB.
You excited to see Carlos Carrasco pitch in Yankee Stadium because he just signed there like 2 seconds ago?
No, he did not just sign there, dude. Cookie Carrasco going to the Yanks?
Yep.
That should sure up all their pitching woes.
Surely.
Okay.
On his tweet said Carrasco to the Yankees, #cookie.
Cookie.
Cookie.
To be fair, his nickname is literally Cookie Carrasco, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
Right? Cookie. Attaboy Goots. Yeah, get this Jazz game out of here. Let's move on to Denver and the Pelicans. Jovan, let me keep throwing you some NBA games here so we can keep moving and grooving. Pelicans have not won a game in a minute. They've kind of struggled of late after showing a little bit of life when Zion returned, but still not resulting in wins. Now, I'll give them some credit. They almost beat the Celtics in their last game, and they certainly covered. So they were plus 12. They lost by 2. Solid performance from the Pelicans. I'll give them that. The Nuggets, on the other hand, they've been a joke this year, man. They've been an absolute joke. They're still 30-19, but they're not covering it all. They're getting fat spreads left and right. Maybe the books are done losing coins on the Nuggets, and they've adjusted this season so far. Clearly they have, looking at their ATS. But they're laying 10. Jovan, they opened up fatter favorites. Do we think the Pelicans have 2 good games in a row in them? Or do you think it's Denver here starting their own little hot streak, maybe winning 3 in a row and winning big here tonight?
Yeah, so this game is really weird from the Pelicans' perspective because they just went band for band with the Celtics, took a buzzer beater to beat them, which was beautiful because they somehow escaped. I didn't want to bet them without Zion in that game, but I kind of stuck it through because the line didn't move the slightest bit after he got announced out. but they stuck it with them. They won or lost by 2 on the road. But now they're getting Zion back, but they also lose DeJounte Murray because he tore his Achilles. So it has my head in an absolute blender because there's no buy good news, buy or sell bad news or whatever in the Pelican side. It's kind of just cancels out. Maybe Zion outweighs DeJounte a little bit because who knows what DeJounte is going to do on a day-to-day basis. But I don't know what to do, to be honest with you, Krabs. I would say this total maybe looks a little high, I would say, with all things included. Sure, you're getting Zion back, but this is still a Nuggets team that gets a lot of high totals, but against these like super weak defenses, they really haven't been putting up that many points lately, which is the confusing part. They had like the super high scoring games against like the Sixers, but other than that, really not all that much. There's been a handful of unders, and a lot of the games that have gone over before that have not been because of them. So I think this total sitting at 241.5 is still pretty telling without DeJounte and getting Zion back.
I'm seeing Misi double in the chat, and I'm seeing Rays trades in the chat.
Rays trade?
Jeff Passenbaum.
Trade who?
Fado to the Rays.
Made a trade.
The Tampa Bay Rays are acquiring right-hander Alex Fada. Can't make it up. From the Tigers, from minor league catcher Anderson Delgado.
What do we need Faedo for, dude?
I don't know, but I'll tell you right now, I've already seen it. He's going to turn into the next Cy Young candidate down there.
You don't need him to, though. That's the thing, because like he's probably going to be a bullpen pitcher. This is
tossing turkeys at Camden Yards.
Like what? There's no need. He's going to be in Durham, dude. This is the best Rays bullpen that they've had probably in all the years I've been alive. It's my hot take for the season. Shouldn't be, but I don't think Faedo is really necessary.
Okay. Well, I'll trust whatever the Rays are doing because they're smart and it works out more often than it doesn't. I feel like everybody should just copy them.
Yeah.
A lot of teams have.
Probably.
A lot of
That's
teams
probably
have,
that's probably just some insurance, I guess, depth innings just in case because
sure.
Got a lot of pitchers coming back from injury, I guess. A lot of starting pitchers. So if we need a longer starter, longer relief guy, I guess we have one.
I think that's a pretty damn good move. I know you don't think you need him now, but good.
Talking about Faedo, and we got Felix Bautista coming back. I bet.
No, I'm so sure, dude. I'm literally so sure, man.
People forget.
Vito Studs.
He's back.
The Mount? You say the Mount Goods?
The Mountain. That's what we call Felix.
Thought somebody said the Mount. Thought I heard it.
So sure.
Yeah, SBR's in chat talking about his Tiger legend here. Fado stud, but wasn't good enough to be in the bullpen anymore. He's saying.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, I don't know. Interesting. It's not that I don't believe in Faedo. I just feel like that wasn't necessary, especially when we're trading a decent catching prospect when we literally had to sign Danny Jansen because we have no catchers ever.
Yeah. Interesting move, but I will trust whatever they're building down there because it typically works out.
Yeah, it is a good insurance policy. John's Club's right.
Sure.
Don't hate that.
What's good, Pega? How we doing in the chat? We got Z2Z Bets coming in, resubbing as well for 34 months. Jeesh. WBTL boys, holy shit, that's a long time. Love you guys. WZDZ Bets. And OG always in this puppy. Always involved.
Let's go. Oh, and Jose Siri will not carry. I will, because he's a Met.
Yeah, that'd be tough to carry if you're on a different team. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. And hey, I still think Danny Jansen could be okay. Like,
no, don't get me wrong. I like Danny Jansen. I was just saying, he's the best catcher they've had in years, which is, I like Danny Jansen.
Wilson Ramos.
Literally, like that's not even an exaggeration. So, it's great. It's just the fact that we're trading away promising catching prospects for pitching prospects at this point when Danny Jansen is moving the needle significantly is a little questionable.
Is Alex Jackson still up and moving?
No, he's where is he now? He's somewhere else.
Somewhere right now. He should be sensitive.
No, I think he's a Yankee. Maybe.
Interesting.
Okay.
I could be wrong about that. I know he's not a Ray.
Half hit runs RBIs last year.
Yeah.
Electric.
He's a Yank. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. That should be good.
All right. Jovan, thoughts on Ha-Seong Kim joining your infield?
Oh, I love Kim. That's like hashtag no more Taylor Walls. It's the greatest thing ever. Like out of all the moves they made in the offseason, that's the best one. Not even all the moves, just like the things to look forward to this season. I'm excited that we get no more daily Taylor Walls. It's the greatest thing ever.
Yep. I think it's a good move. Love watching Ha-Seong Kim play some baseball. Dude's a baller.
Dude, I mean that infield legitimately is the most excited I've been about a Rays infield in a while. It's fantastic.
Sure.
Junior, you got Junior, Kim, Brandon Lau, and Yandy. That is fantastic.
They're just gonna have Yandy at first all year, probably, right?
Yeah, they'll probably switch him and Aranda will first base DH platoon somewhere there, depending on the lineup, of course.
All right. Yeah. I'd be excited if I was you for this season, Jovan. No reason not to.
Yeah.
Right? All right. I think that's it for the NBA as well. I know we got sidetracked there talking some baseball, but we did go over all the NBA games for tonight. I want to go ahead and put it on records. Really liking the Suns tonight. If you missed the beginning of the show, if you didn't hear me say it earlier, really liking the Suns on the road, laying 5 against the Trailblazers team that they just lost to the other night. Okay? Jovan, there's one NHL game on tonight. I got to ask you about it. I'm legally obligated to. Okay, you got the Predators laying 135, catching a little bit of steam here off of back-to-back losses, 4 in a row, against the Senators coming in off of back-to-back wins.
Yeah, I mean, probably a glaring looking sharp play, I guess, with the Preds. I never want to lay it with them at home when they're in a sharp spot because that's where they quite literally never come through. So I am good.
Yep. I think I'm with you, man. Nashville's one of those teams. It's like Ohio State and CBB. Whatever's supposed to happen, the opposite does. Maybe it's just Ottawa plus chicken here. Okay. Canadian Goots likes the over in the chat. All right. Any weird squares up on Prize Picks for that game? Goals allowed?
Not that I saw, I don't think.
There is a goals allowed for Nashville. For Saros. Wouldn't say it's the weirdest looking square, but
yeah, this looks like a normal square.
Could be Saros. All right. Jovan, probably not going to play anything on the ice over there. You want to talk through the rest of these CBB games? There are a few games we have to get to here that we have not addressed. All right. Anything in Colgate Lehigh? God, it's been a down year for Colgate. When's the last time we've seen this team have a 9-14 record at this point of the season? And they've dropped 3 straight games in a row. Typically, Colgate wins their conference. They're going on to March Madness, and then they get obliterated in the first round. It's a tale as old as time. This year, it's been different, man. They stink. Coming off of 3 straight losses. Jovan, they're still favorites on the road at Lehigh.
Yeah, maybe a little weird. I know it's a decently popular, I guess, sharp play today for the early game, and I get why. The spot kind of screamed everything. I just wonder if the line respect is just never going to go away. That's the thing.
Yeah, I'd probably lean Lehigh here, to be honest with you. I think Colgate might just be bad. Lafayette just smoked Colgate, and Lehigh beat them by 40. Oh.
Yeah.
Dude. I think Colgate's fake sharp. I think Colgate still gets that line respect, and they're trying to bait people into taking a team that's just not good this season. I think you take Lehigh here at home with the points. I think Colgate's fake sharp. That's my final assessment here.
Sure.
Okay? You guys got to remember, Colgate has literally won their conference every year for the last decades. It's insane. A couple other earlier starts, Jovan. I know you mentioned a couple of these Southland games. Very happy to hear you're back in your Southland duffel. W's. Anything in UVA Pitt? You talked about wanting to take the Cavaliers, which I hate to hear, but can I get some reasoning for that? Why you think UVA keeps this one at least a little bit closer than the number?
Yeah, well, I guess a lot of my strategy with these teams, most of them have been in the Big Ten, but just laying fat numbers, double-digit numbers, and they're seemingly in the big, obvious bounce-back spot. I've been fading them. It's been working pretty well. So I was already kind of predisposed to doing it because of that. But I just don't think Pitt is all that good, and I don't think the bounce back spot is necessarily coming because they've been very fortunate to face a lot of teams that want to play fast, but they can't defend the rim. Like Wake, I guess, is not the only team that doesn't really fit that example, but in their past couple wins, UNC loves to play fast, but they don't have a big, quite literally. And then Syracuse loves to play fast, but they have dog shit Eddie Lampkin. It's like, even going back to some of their losses before that, they've been very fortunate to stay in these games or win these games because of that. And I'm not going to sit up here and say UVA is the biggest team in the world, but they're going to slow it down to the point where I think it matches up a little better for them. They're going to force Pitt to use their size, which Pitt is bigger than them, but they do not know how to use their size very well. So I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think they lose, but I think it's one of those where UVA makes it odd.
Yeah, I mean, coming off a loss to the Hokies at home, that's got to be a kick in the butt.
Yeah.
I mean, I certainly would lean that way, coming off that bad loss against an overrated Pitt team. But fading Pitt's bad business. Maybe not as much this season, but the last couple. You fade Pitt, you're not making coins. This year, they're only 11-10 against the spread, so I guess they are relatively fadeable. Nothing to write home about. It's got to be UVA here with the points after that atrocious game over the weekend, losing at home to the Hokies.
Yeah.
It's got to be the Cavs. Has to be. Anything in Norfolk State, NC Central? Norfolk State's low-key a wagon, especially at home, but you won't see me laying 9.5. Makes a little bit too much sense.
Yeah, I think it might be NC Central plus the points. Upset potential.
Yeah. It's tough to win down there in Norfolk, man. You don't see it happen very often, but that spread is down to 9.5.
It's pretty tough. This is probably one of the weaker teams they've had, though, out of the past years.
Totals up in that game as well. You think that benefits NC Central?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, they definitely don't want to get into a rock fight with Norfolk. I mean, Norfolk, not like they play UVA style basketball, but they're pretty physical. So you definitely don't want to get in one of those games with them if you're NC Central.
Yeah, that could be a sketchy spot for Norfolk State there at home, down to 9.5. All right. Making sure we're not missing any big games here, like Coppin State, UMES. That might be the worst game of the season.
Yeah, I don't think we're missing anything there.
The Coppin State down to +3 from 5.5.
Dude.
University of Maryland Eastern Shore versus Coppin State. 2 Maryland squads, rivalry.
Sure, man.
I actually do have a play in a Ball Sack State game late nights that I wanted to talk about. You got NoCo, you got Idaho State, the Potatoes. Team that we bet on this season before. Team that's actually came through for us earlier this season. Don't let the Potatoes get hot, Jovan. It might be too late. They've ripped off 2 straight wins. That's not what I want to take in this game, though. If you look at the first matchup between these two squads, and we know NoCo can put the ball in the hoop, but Idaho State, I didn't know they could keep up. They almost pulled off the upset and beat Northern Colorado in that last matchup a couple weeks ago, Jovan. They lost 93-92 in a 1-point game at NoCo. Now you swing it around. Only a couple weeks later, the total in that game, that, by the way, I shouldn't even have to tell you, but it soared over. Okay, both teams scored 90-plus points. The total in that game was at 146.5. You want to take a guess at what the total is in this game tonight, in this matchup?
I'm staring at 145.5.
A little lower. Opened up right at 146, and now we're starting to see it drop. Okay? Maybe we see the late night Potatoes clamp up tonight, stand out business in their home arena. Maybe even pulling off an upset here and handed NoCo an L. I'd say if they keep this game within the or under the total, I think they got a pretty darn good chance of winning this game as well. But I'm liking this under a little bit more than the sides.
Yeah, I can get down with that. I mean, the under is quite literally the what was it, Washington State Pacific game. I was looking at it.
Yes.
We were talking about that same thing. I didn't have the balls to play it. I don't remember if you played it or not, but you were pushing it. Which you're 100% right on that one. It's soared under, but I think double digits. It's the exact same situation.
Yep. Loving this play. Loving this play. Nasty under in NoCo and Idaho State. How do the Vandals win? They win with defense. You just haven't seen it of late. Tonight, they get it done. You kind of have seen it of late. They held Northern Arizona 69 points. That's a really good offense. And they held Eastern Washington on the road to 62. Oh, that was actually NoCo, excuse me. Idaho State. Well, they held Idaho to 70 points, and they held Eastern Washington to 70 points.
Yeah.
So not the worst defensive performances there. Starting to clamp back up here. They're probably going to have to hold NoCo to 70 or less points in this one. Maybe 75, but then you're starting to lose me. I think if they keep NoCo to under 70 points, they win this game outright. The total goes under, and I think they're more than capable of that at home. More than capable.
Yeah,
okay?
I agree.
Potato under, like Alex saying in chat. Sure. W's. Are we getting some stream Walmarting going on? Or can we get some 10s and some 4s in the chat?
Yeah,
I saw some lag for a second, but we should be good. Can we drop some 10s and some 4s in the chat, please? Yep. W's.
Love it. Love it.
Appreciate you guys. Jovan, I want to ask you about Iowa State, Kansas. The best game tonight by far. Okay, you got Kansas, who's coming off a bad loss, and they've lost 2 of their last 3. Do we think they're dropping another game here at home, potentially against the Cyclones?
It's so hard to imagine it, Krabs. And I know another reason, like this game, or another game, I should say, where my head's been put in the blender because you couldn't get 2 more desperate spots for these teams than I think this game, because it's not just Kansas wanting to lick back from that first matchup where they looked absolutely horrid in Ames. And then they've had these handful of games, whether it's the Houston game, whether it's the Baylor game, where they just had historic collapses, just awful collapses at home too. So now they're coming back in this game. It's Big Monday where Big Self just cannot lose. And then you have Iowa State, who happens to be coming off of, probably their worst week of the season by a wide margin. They got destroyed by Kansas State. And I was on Kansas State. I fully expected them to keep it close because it was a horrendous scheduling spot for Iowa State. But I definitely did not expect them to win outright by 20+, which was incredible. And then they lost on the incredible buzzer beater themselves at Arizona. So, I mean, so many things going on in this game. The one thing, I guess, Kansas needs to play Bidunga a little more, and I think they probably will against Iowa State because Iowa State was just slamming the paint and making shooters shoot. Zeke Mayo got the ball a lot in that game, that first matchup, and shot toward 8s, wasn't able to do stuff with it. So I think they need to get the ball on the inside a little more, and he's been their best offensive weapon and defensive weapon. Hunter Dickinson has been super inconsistent. He was bad in that first game too. So I think they'll make some adjustments, especially with DeJuan Harris back in the fold. So I still lean Kansas. I'm not in love with it because you are taking Kansas at a short spread and a bounce back spot at home on Big Monday. But I think if I'm taking any team to buck the trend, it's probably them.
How do you think Hunter Dickinson does tonight? You think he's a softie, or do you think he gets involved?
I mean, he probably gets involved a little more than he did in the first game. He got in foul trouble, was super inefficient from the field. I think if Kansas wants to open it up, I think they've found out by now, not just from that game, but from everything that's transpired since then, they can't shoot themselves out of holes or win themselves games with just pure shooting because they don't have it. Especially now that Shaquille Moore is in the lineup too, which, I mean, he can't shoot. He's in there for defense to go band for band with them. So I feel like they're going to have to run in transition a little bit more, which that could be good for Dickinson when he chooses to run. But I don't know. I think DeJuan Harris has got to be prime CP3 tonight, prime CP3.
Okay. Well, I'm sure they have an assist square up for our guy, DeJuan Harris.
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
They have a 4.5 goblin. They have a 5.5 goblin. And then they got some demons up as well. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Would you rather play as 5.5 gob or as 7.5 demon?
I mean, probably demon.
Okay. All right. A couple other late night games in CBB that aren't too bad as we get a subby coming in from Estenica. Yeah, Nerfy Chad, you're not wrong, man. This is not Ma and Pa's Kansas. You're not wrong. But I saw something on the feed earlier today. Bill Self has never lost on a Big Monday.
Big Monday, yeah.
Something crazy like that.
Big Monday goat.
He's like 1,000-0 on Big Mondays.
Yeah.
We'll see if that trend lasts. W.S. D'Amico, we appreciate you, Beast. Thank you for coming in with the subby. Dubs. Giannis rolled out. Jovan, great call.
I mean, figured that. something.
Yep. And Middleton.
Sure.
All right. A couple other late night geysers. I'm on Weber State against NAU late night, but there's one more game, Jovan, I wanted to talk about before we get to the squad rides. Late night geyserman, North Texas, UAB, two really solid mid-majors. Typically, we're not blessed with a late night, Monday night, great CBB game. Usually it's a pretty shit slate, but Jovan, we got a couple tonight with Iowa State, Kansas, and North Texas, UAB. Could this be another Yaxel legacy game? I think he just won Conference Player of the Week for last week as well, so maybe now's not the time to back him, but both these teams really good. Curious on your thoughts. Who you think pulls this one out?
Yeah, really good teams, really good game. The way this first game went, frankly, I was a little surprised. I know the line has moved back since then, but I was a little surprised to see North Texas open up as a favorite on the road.
Same.
That was pretty odd to me. It's like I figured that this line that it's sitting at now, which is UAB minus 2.5, was the first line that we would see after that game. That was, I mean, UNT was minus 5.5, minus 6 on the road, and that game ended up being a 3-point game that, to be honest, they didn't have any business winning in the first place, but it was a back and forth game, barely won. I was expecting UAB to be that weird home favorite from the start. They weren't, but now they are. Still probably lean with North Texas, to be honest with you, especially after they're coming off of that game that I have no idea how they lost against UTSA. Outright as 15-point favorites. That UTSA team is awful, and like if I had to think of one of the teams in the American that was the worst possible matchup for going up against the North Texas defense, it probably would be UTSA. The amount that they turn the ball over, shoot a ton of threes, like that game was one of the anomalies of all anomalies. So now they're coming off of that game, going up on the road after UAB has been playing, for the most part, like really fantastic ball, minus when they got plunked by Memphis. But I give them an excuse for that. They've been playing pretty much flawless outside of that. So maybe it's the simple angles, just the answer with UAB, but I have a pretty bad feeling about this one.
Yeah, North Texas opens up a favorite in this one. Pretty weird. I don't know if I want to bet them still at this point when they're now plus 2.5, but another game where the under could be a decent look too. Both these teams certainly favor the over. And the first matchup on New Year's Eve when these guys played soared over as well. And that total was at 139. Total in this game opened up 137.5 and it's dropping. So maybe we get another under in round 2 between these two squads. Probably not going to play this game, but certainly lean that under, and North Texas opened up a fave.
Yeah, I get down with that under. I mean, that first game soared over by a decent bit. What was there, 153? Yep. 153 on a 139 total. Total is obviously lower in this one. And UAB also, I mean, they shot 10 of 18 from 3, 56% just about. I don't think that's going to happen much in this game, especially because, I mean, UNT's built to kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say stop, but at least stifle Yaxel a little bit. They did for the most part in the first game too.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, maybe that opener is weirder than that closing line where it's at right now. Okay. Jovan, it's about that time, my man. We got Dead Larry Bird in chat talking about Northwestern State. Sure. That's on Jovan's card. We're certainly giving that a look. We got Prime coming in, resubbing as well. W Prime. Appreciate you, Beast. 14 months. GOAT. Jovan, you ready?
I'm so ready.
Wrapped up a little squad routes. Gootsy, do me a favor. Run that shit. I want to see that train. All right, ladies and gents, let's stay dialed this month. Okay, we did the work today. We found some winners. Now let's click the right buttons and pick the right place. Plain and simple. All right? Jovan, I'm looking at some of your plays. I'm probably going to need you to come in and tell me which ones you like the best, but I would have zero qualms with all 3 of these Southland plays. So let me know where your head's at.
I mean, I probably would go from the bottom up, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Northwestern State, Houston Christian, and the McNeese.
Okay.
I don't really get where. I know you said you liked them all, but what's your gut screaming at you for that?
I'd say I like Northwestern State and Houston Christian a little bit more than McNeese. I don't mind the spot for McNeese coming off that L, but I'd say I like the second 2 plays a little bit better.
I figured. I mean, I like both of those pretty much the same. I'd be down to put those both in.
Okay. We got James Leon coming in, resubbing as well. When in doubt, trust the squad ride responsibly. Let's have a day, fellas. Could not have said it any better myself, James. Yes. Let's have a day. Let's cash big tonight responsibly. Okay, that's all tail the squad rides. And let's put Weber State in this puppy along with Houston Christian and Northwestern State. You good with that?
Very good with that.
Weber State ML. Now, I do really like the Suns tonight. I can't sugarcoat it. Is that spot weird enough for you to get involved with?
That
Same
is.
team? Okay. Looks like they're still laying 5. Yep. Minus 108 on the green as well. Love to see that. Let's go Suns -5. It's probably my favorite play today.
I'm in.
Now, what about that CBB under that we brought up? I do not want to let that get swept. I had to readdress it.
Which one was that again?
You like that nasty CBB under in Idaho State and NOCA after the first matchup had 1,000,000 points like it was an NBA game. The second matchup opened up a little bit lower than the first total, and it's dropping.
Yeah, I'm in on that. I'm going to play that.
I want to put that in here, and I'm going to play that myself as well. Let's put that puppy in here, huh?
Yep.
NOCO, Idaho State, the Potatoes. Good to get them involved again. Under 145.5. We got 5 plays. We got 5 winners, Jovan. You feeling good?
Feeling great.
Let's run it. All right. 5 plays, 5 winners, chat. Northwestern State, ML. Houston Christian +7.5. We've got Weber State on the ML. The Suns -5.5. And maybe the nastiest play on here, the under in Northern Colorado and Idaho State, under 145.5. 5 plays, 5 winners. Get involved. Please click the right button. Okay. 5 plays, 5 winners. We got some CBB. We got some NBA. I'm voting for the Suns. Jovan's got some really good Southland plays in here as well, along with that under in that nasty later CBB game in Idaho State. We got plenty of options for today. All right, plenty of options. Looks like chat's out to a lead with the Suns.
Did not
expecting that, but you know what? I'm pretty happy about it. And chat, like you guys are saying right now, Greatish Calves is going 5 for 5. Do not let the other plays get swept when you're locking in your straight bets. I know a lot of people, a lot of OGs, they'll just tail all the options in the squad rides, and that'll be their straight bets for the day. And typically, knock on wood, it goes all right. So if you want to get involved that way and tail some of these plays, even if they don't win, please do. Do not let them get swept. All right. And Myles Garrett to the Dodgers on a deferred deal.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I don't know why I think those jokes are funny. Probably because how ridiculous the Dodgers roster is. Okay. Krabs on the Suns. It's a sign. Love it. Let's go, Casper. Loving the Suns tonight. And guys, stick around. We got the surge stream starting up right after this. All right. Spoon feed Trent some winners, please. All right. Appreciate you guys sticking around and joining on a Monday. New Nationals red shirt is a beauty, Krabs. Yeah, they brought back the red jerseys. I don't know how I feel about it yet, but I'm definitely not mad about it. I did like the navy blue jerseys they rock, so hopefully they don't get rid of those. All right. Jovan, look at that, dude. The Suns just running away with it today.
Shocked.
That trusting Krabs.
I guess it's,
this makes my day, though. This makes
biggest game on the slate by far, so I guess it makes sense. But yeah, chat
likes a big game.
You play.
Chat likes my play. Jovan, this is how we start out February with a W. Plain and simple, and then we're going nuclear. Okay, winners only. It starts tonight with the Suns on the spreads. We'll catch you guys tomorrow, same time, same place when it smacks. Stick around for the surge stream. Pitch Trent the winner.
Pitch.
We'll catch you guys tomorrow. W Subby written by Zach.
Speaking of pitch.